Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan and thank you for joining us for our Wednesday weather update for November the 1st. Hope you said white rabbits. Let's get into the forecast because there's a lot going on. We've got a lot of highs and lows all tracking through as we go into our final official month, at least, of spring. So the next few weeks ahead look unsettled still, but perhaps a little bit more in the way of high pressure coming into the New Zealand area. There is one feature though worth talking about, and it's what is happening along the eastern side of Australia with extra wet weather coming in over the next week or two. Don't forget our Climate Watch update for the month of November and then also covering December and January. That is out today. So we'll be taking a closer look at just what is going on weather-wise around our part of the world and what is happening with El Nino. So all of that will be covered in Climate Watch out today. But let's get into the forecast, our weather forecast for New Zealand and Australia. Low pressure is now here. That is the new low moving into New Zealand. The old low left over here by East Cape, pretty much completely gone by 5 o'clock this evening. And that's the end of that. So the next system coming in is more westerly driven. There'll be a burst of wet weather on the western side. And then we've got a mixture of high pressure like this high right here, south of Aussie. There's another low inland and another one out here to the east. So it is a little bit complicated at the moment. It is spring, so it is likely to be all over the place, but it's not as textbook as some of you might have thought with El Nino. So let's have a look at the rain coming through. Like I just said, most of it's around the western side of the North Island in particular. Not a huge amount, mostly 20 to 30 millimetres, but Mount Taranaki will get the heaviest falls, probably double that up to 60 millimetres or so. Otherwise, just showers around the country. The driest place will be Akaroa over in Banks Peninsula. Over to Australia, so we've got a few areas of downpours, a couple of isolated downpours because of that low. But to the east, this is the area that I think a lot of you will be interested in, between Brisbane and Sydney, or mostly between Newcastle and Brisbane. Only 10 to 15 showing up on the map, but we've got afternoon downpours bubbling up over the next week or so. So it may not be quite as dry as you might be thinking over here in the east over the next couple of weeks. And inland, again, hot weather, over 40 degrees in red. Here is the forecast for Thursday. So we've got low pressure in the Tasman. We've got a couple of showers here to the east. They're not worth really focusing on. Over here in the New Zealand side, a very weak cold front comes through into the North Island across Thursday afternoon, followed by that low, which is pretty weak as well. A light southerly for Tasmania and Melbourne, but over here in New Zealand, it's a mild nor'wester. So again, just like today, most parts of New Zealand, especially the inland part of the South Island, a few degrees above average. By Friday, it's a little bit cooler in the South Island as this change comes in, and the North Island. Nor'westers, but plenty of rain clouds around and a burst of wet weather once again coming through on Friday. But as you just saw on those rain maps, not necessarily massive totals. It's a messy system, a couple of heavy downpours. Otherwise, just your usual showery stuff. And in Hobart, a southerly coming through there for you. Let's get into Saturday because this is where we've got a little bit more interesting weather for both New Zealand and Australia. On the New Zealand side, the big sou'westers coming out from around this big high south of Australia. That's going to encourage a drop in temperatures, a little bit of snow on the mountains in the South Island, and as it moves northwards, that temperature drop coming in. Now with this high over towards Australia, just to the north of it, there's some low pressure. That's encouraging a northeasterly flow coming in around Sydney, and we'll be seeing some showers and some thunderstorms in the mix for you as well. So by Sunday, this is what I mean by from Brisbane all the way down south of Sydney, really all the way to Victoria, you're seeing some wet weather. Now, not a lot of it will push inland for the places that need it the most. I know it's very dry around Brisbane, but it's good to see this wet weather showing up. And it's showing up not just this week, but potentially the week after. Now, over in the New Zealand side, those southerly winds drop back on Sunday. Guy Fawkes, which seems to be a big thing in New Zealand, but not much of a thing in Australia. We've got mostly dry weather on the map here at lunchtime, but into the afternoon, there will be some thunderstorms and afternoon downpours popping up in both main islands of New Zealand. So just be aware of that if you are celebrating Guy Fawkes, which of course in Auckland, where I am, runs from about September to around about April next year. The fireworks, for some reason, don't stop. Okay, Monday of next week. You can see what I mean. Gladstone down to Sydney, maybe further south than that. you're getting some wet weather. Mostly just on the very coastal side, but a little bit inland, you might get the odd heavy downpour. There's a low pressure zone over there near Perth that's pulling in warm to hot air coming through to you from the interior. But New Zealand is cooler on Monday, on the wrong side of that high pressure zone, so we get the southerly side. So it will be cooler around New Zealand with a few more showers in the North Island. I know you're a little bit over it, the wet weather, but if you take a look at our Climate Watch update today, you will see that even though the forecast coming up for November is a little bit messy, lows and highs all kind of mixed up, it does look as though we may be leaning a little drier in more places. So I just want to say that cautiously because it is spring and as we've been seeing, some pretty big ups and downs with our weather, but we're trying to lock in what is coming up this summer. So please do keep an eye out for Climate Watch out later today as we take a look at the 3 months coming up. But that is all from me for today for this video. We'll catch you again later on.